Okay.
we were out in Tennessee, and this is the early 2000s, and she was the keynote speaker, and so I had the opportunity to actually sit down and meet her. She has been a huge influence on my life, on my poetry. Actually, one of my main pieces that I tend to share the most, that people like request the most, was actually inspired by her "Still I Rise" piece that she wrote, and it's called
Mm,
Perseverance. So yeah, she's been a huge influence. Of course, there's others. Langston Hughes, Dudley Randall, James Weldon Johnson, who wrote the Negro national anthem,
mhm.
and just life inspires me. Every day there's things going on in life and in the world, and like to take those things and put them in poetic art form. And my faith, I do have a strong faith in the Lord, and so a lot of times those experiences inspire me to write as well. So a lot of influences.
That's what's up. I know, like when I was in American Lit, they used to highlight the Harlem Renaissance a lot in
Hmm.
different poetries, and blacks aren't the only poets, obviously, but our story is a little different than a lot of people. We have a lot more struggle, a lot more
Yeah.
pain. So when you hear some of those old poems and everything like that, what kind of illustration does it paint to you? Like when you hear some of that old poetry.
I mean, for me, it just it brings it all home to me of truly how far, like, we've come as a people, and still how much farther we still have to go, as a people. But there's one piece in particular that I actually had during Black History Month. I did a show where we highlighted three poetic pioneers, and one of them was Dudley Randall, and he wrote this piece called "The Ballad of Birmingham." And literally, that piece, like, when I read it to myself, like, I was in tears. Like, I was in tears because it described, a mother and her daughter, this going out, and she remembered these white shoes that she had on, and she went to the church, and that was when they had the bombing of the church in Birmingham,
Mhm.
and she just recalls, like, this mother went to this church and she saw her baby's white shoe, you know that was, like, in the dirt, and I mean, it just really really grabbed. It's like when I read a lot of the older poems, I love reading them, because of how well they're written, and then also just the images they use. Like, you can just imagine, being there, and it just reminds me of, like, truly, like, how far we've come and how far we still have to go. But what a strong people we are. We've always been a people of faith. We've always been a people of strength, and that's what's got us through, and that's what continues to take us through. So
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely. I know. I read a lot of different stuff. Langston Hughes was one of the poets that I liked, reading about when I was younger in
Yeah.
school. Like his I too poem was
Yeah.
like, I'm
Yeah.
too American. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not. Don't send me to the kitchen to eat. You're gonna see me. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna
Yeah.
hide me in the bag.
Hmm.
So a lot of that stuff speaks to you, when you like watch movies or you hear certain poetry and you just like, man, we've come a long way. We haven't made it all the way out the woods, but we've come a long way. It used to
Definitely.
used to be really bad. We used to just couldn't walk, like we couldn't live and express ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you feel poetry does for freedom of speech?
I mean, I see, like, poetry is, well, it's the oldest art form, that we have. The oldest art form that we
Hmm.
have. Everything, the very world was spoken into existence. That's why speech is so powerful. Said, let there be light. There wouldn't be a world if there was not, speech. And
Hmm.
So I think poetry is at the root of all that, of what freedom of speech is all about. And that's why you can take, like, somebody may be able to, they may have an idea, right? It's like something they want to share. They may not be able to just share that idea or that thought, outright without ruffling some feathers. But guess what? They put that in a poem, which is all about the delivery. Then it's like they can share whatever, because it's just an expression of their thoughts, and it's just put to a it's all about, poetry is really all about delivery. Like, poetry is regular words. Like, you can just take a sentence, roses are red, violets are blue, but roses are red, violets are blue. You can take a thought. I think that we can come together as a people and thrive. You can just say, I think that we can come together as a people and thrive. It's all about the delivery, but words are poetry, you know. And so I really think it's the ultimate freedom of speech that we have, because you cannot argue. You may be able to argue with someone, but you can't argue with what they've been through and what they went through and
Right.
what they've experienced. That's why you can't argue with somebody's testimony. It's their testimony, is what they went through.
Hmm.
So I believe it is truly the ultimate freedom of speech that we have.
Right. I was watching a few things about Dr. Maya, and she stated kind of the same thing. She said, the world started with words."
Yeah.
She was like, the book of Genesis is words that
Hmm.
created the foundation for what we see today. You know, um, there's nothing more powerful than your words. When people tell you speak things into existence,
Hmm.
be careful what you say, different things like that, because your words manifest a lot.
Yeah.
Don't, when you wake up in the morning, just say that you're having a good day. Because if you say that you're having a bad day, you're going to trick yourself into picking out everything about that day that's bad
Yeah.
versus seeing the good. So words are powerful,
Yeah.
everybody. They can
Yeah.
hurt, they can create, and everything.
Yeah, I've learned. I
Um,
mean, I always go through, like, I always say, I live by the three S's, what I call them. So it's like, you see it, speak it, and seize it. So whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you're manifesting, like, see it, visualize it in your mind, speak it out your mouth where you claim it, and then seize it, and then you go out and get it. And I can't tell you how many things, I've had. I mean, with my just having a feature show, I saw myself having it, I spoke it, I will have a feature show in Jesus' name, and then I went out and got it.
yeah,
And yeah, words change everything. Words change everything.
it took me a long time to get to the same point where I was like, already had the show. I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm gonna do this. I had already had it on the app. I didn't really think about like having it featured though. And then when I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I want it featured. I just wanted to do it. And
Hmm.
then people were like, why don't you make it featured? And then I was just like kept saying it over and over again. I'm gonna get it featured. I'm gonna get it featured. You know, and believe it or not, it just it just came. Like, and sometimes it still hasn't really sunk in for real.
Yeah.
I'll like be sitting here asking questions, and I'll like go over to the app and like scroll and be like, dang, my banner's still up there.
Yeah.
It's still purple. Like I'm like, this is really it. This is really going on right now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's good to know I'm not the
so
only one that does that. Like, I do that all the time.
right.
It's like,
Hey,
okay,
you're
oh,
not
that's me up there. Like, one time when it first went up, like, I just stared at it for like 5. I was like, that's me. Like, that's me right
yeah.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So.
knew it was real when I started getting the messages from people because I didn't tell a lot of people. People were like, dude, you got a featured show?
Hmm.
Like, and my sister sent me a screenshot of it and was like, why is your face on the app? Like, why do you have a
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
What's up, Square? So, um, besides the poetry, what inspires
Mhm.
you about Maya Angelou's life?
Man, uh, just this everything. I mean, just the struggles, that she's went through, that she's overcame in her life. And I mean, she's just an amazing, amazing, amazing woman, just all around. I like her. I like her cool, calm demeanor too. She just always
Mhm.
just stays cool, calm, and it's like, when she speaks. There's certain people, like, when they speak, you just hang on to every word that they say. and everything that she says is it's so wisdom filled, every word, every phrase, and yeah, just everything about her.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
That's like I look at her as like everybody's grandmother, you know?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
when grandma talks, everything just stops. You listen to her, you sit down, when she speaks, it's like, all right, what kind of information can we receive today? And what
Hmm.
can we take out of this? Um, even listening to a couple of things this past week, I've been like, wow, like this is real, like this is really happening today, like these different things that she spoke about, it continues to happen and happen, and you just got to stick to your guns.
Yeah.
She had a quote. It said, "I learned a long time ago, the wisest thing I can do is be on my own side and advocate for myself and others like me." What do you take from that?
Man. Like, well, it's what that speaks to me is just for standing up for your own, and like like when you stand up for your people, like you're standing up for yourself and the future of your people. It's not just living for the moment, but it's living for the future. Because there's people that like she stood up for now that back then, that even when now that she's passed away, like they're still living that legacy. So um if we don't stand up for each other, like who is? That's what it says to me. We can scream, actually, you can take Black Lives Matter. We can scream Black Lives Matter all day, but if we're not showing that they matter with us first, we're no worse than those that are persecuting someone just because they're another color,
Hmm.
just because they're black. So it starts with us first. Showing that love for each other first and standing up for each other first, because that's the strongest message that we can send. Anything else, we're just co-signing with negative racial behavior. So.
Definitely. One thing that we have as a people, we we will ride for each other, you know,
Mm.
for sure. We will definitely ride for each other. If when you see all these people in the news and these police brutalities and different things like that, even though a
Yeah.
lot of negative stuff happens with that too, we still have that, all right, we all coming together, we all gonna, we'll make sure this person is being seen, this person is being heard, because they don't no longer have a voice.
Mm.
Platform is everything. She had a platform that she can speak and make people listen you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
so that's good. If I try to go out and talk about a certain thing, nobody's going to listen to me. um, but it is great to say that she was able to reach the masses and let people know our story, for
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely.
um, so do you feel like any her poetry has saved people's lives personally then?
Uh, I mean, her poetry like helped save my life. Because like I said, that piece, "Still I Rise." That's what influenced the piece that I wrote, "Perseverance," and that came out of a time in my life where I actually, was on the brink of taking my own life. And through that, I wrote that poem, and now God is using those words to inspire others. So inspiration is infectious. So like she put that together, inspired my piece, and then I been able to inspire others with other pieces. So definitely, and I know I'm not the only one that whose life she's touched. My Angelou was touched through that. So.
Definitely, for sure. What's up, everybody? Welcome to How Times Change 6'5" Near, and my man Lex the Gentleman. We're going over poetry and Dr. Maya Angelou. Um, so if you guys are familiar with the poet, you know a lot of her teachings, or you know some of you've heard some of her poetry. You've probably seen her on movies and different things like that. You know, so just go look something up if you got a chance. You know, go look something up and get re-inspired. Um, she just had a birthday yesterday. She would have been 95 years old. So she's been doing it a long time. She was an activist for over 50 years. So she definitely is an inspiring person and part of the civil rights movement, along with a lot of other great activists. All right, Lex, paint me a picture, man. Where 50 years, 60 years from now, how do you think poetry will look?
I think that that's a great question. Um, I see it. Well, number one, it's on the rise already. Like, I mean, it's been on the rise, but I think different things have happened that have pushed it even further. Like when the her name slipped my mind. The young lady did the piece of the inaugural piece that wrote that poem. Her
Mm,
name slipped my
I
mind
think I
right
heard
now,
it.
but
I think I heard that. Yeah,
it's like more people are seeing and feeling the impacts of it, and how inspirational it can be, just to hear somebody's story, or hear somebody's story just that's put to some kind of a delivery, a flow or delivery. So I see it just continue to go forward. People continue to write books. I see, like, a lot of digital books, audio, more digital books, more audio books, coming out, which is some things that I'm working on now, and just it just being even more on the forefront, and I see, like, more people realizing that they have it in them that didn't know, because that's even like on my show. I've seen a lot of people that didn't have never written before, that have just started writing, and then they're just like, man, like, I've been a writer all along. I've been a poet all along, and I didn't know it. And
right,
so I see more people coming into that realization in definitely in 50, 60 years, and yeah, and it just continue to just thrive and take over. So
for
yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah, because she's been writing forever. And you got to think if she's been doing poetry for 50 years, right? There's people that are been doing poetry longer than that,
Hmm.
that we have documentation on that are still inspiring people today. You read something, and while you're reading it, you're picturing yourself in that era, in that situation, you know, and it's a part of history. So
Yeah.
50, 60 years from now, somebody reads something about a poem that took place in the 50s, that they'll never be able to go back to the 50s, and they're just like, wow, this is how life was.
Yeah.
you know this is the clothing, the atmosphere, different things like that. You'll be able to see that through the words.
Hmm.
There's a poet, um there's a poet in California here. He's well, I wouldn't say he's an ex-gang member, but his name is Grimace, right?
Hmm.
And he's one of those hood poets, that write, poetry about the gang, the gang life and different things like that. And he when he says he delivers poetry, for me it's like, wow, it's like the gang poet. You
Yeah.
got people out here that just read stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm really out here doing this. I'm riding on people, I'm robbing, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not doing those things because I'm going to destroy the community. I'm doing those things because my back is against the wall and I have
Hmm.
no other options. I come from a broken home. you know I don't have both parents. I don't know how I'm going to eat today. I'm not old enough to get a job, but I'm old enough to starve. you know
Yeah.
so go to another community. You can't do that all the time, King.
Yeah.
you know
I mean,
we from
but
the
yeah,
same place.
yeah,
It's not easy making it out of the city all the time.
yeah. I mean, and when you look at things, like, I mean, that's when, even like you look at gangs and stuff. That's how first things first came about. It was us coming together as protection for each other. You know what I'm saying? And us coming together. So I really feel like we need to get back to that place where we're continue to um, come together as a people.
Oh,
You know what I'm
oh yeah,
saying?
to
And
do your
protect each
dirt.
other.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
You can't help when people think about their community. You could look at like how the Watts riots and different things like that. They
Mm,
tore down their own community. They didn't travel out and destroy a community. They destroyed the community they lived in. Same thing with Detroit, and it happens everywhere. That's just that's just how it is. We people don't think like, all right, well, let's go over to this community and burn it down. There were other communities that came into our community to destroy it, but we never went to anybody else's community intentionally and destroyed it. You know, who knows why it happened? For real. When people think the mob mentality is crazy.
yeah.
Um, what would society look like without poetry? It's hard to erase it because it's storytelling, but if there was no poetry, like say we didn't have these slams and different outlets to talk about certain things, you know,
Yeah. I mean, the well, the world wouldn't be in existence because I mean the first poem was "Let There Be Light," you know.
right?
Um, but it would be a very just dark, dry place. Like there, I feel like there wouldn't be a lot of speech. People wouldn't speaking because you can just speak, and like any words that you say are poetry. So it would be very silent. Um, Nobody would really say much, um, and yeah, it wouldn't be too much. Yeah, too much going on. Yeah, no sound. You know, but yeah, God wrote the first poem with "Let there be light" when there was light. That was the first poem.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. It's a story, when any words could be turned into poetry for real. And
yeah,
it's always been good to listen to different outlooks on life, where it's your community or another. Um, the some of the poems of the 1700s,
hmm
um, when you think about my whole screen went black. I was reading something. Uh, my bad, y'all. All right. When you think about ancient history, right? What are some of the words that you think about that inspired poems? Like some of the key words that inspired their poems.
um, I think it's more just what they were experiencing, like that. Because I always say like anything that you write, like if you write what you feel, people feel what you write. So whatever it is that you're experiencing, those should be the words that you're writing about. So I really think like that's what they were like even back then. That's what they were sharing, like different things they went through. Um, that's what they're writing about.
Yeah, for sure. Hold on, I have to reboot my phone. What's up,
Oh, okay.
everybody? I'm 6'5" Mirror. Welcome to How Times Changed. I got my man Lex the Gentleman in the building. Make sure you guys hit Lex with a fave. He has a featured show on the app. There's a few featured show hosts in here right now. So make sure you guys say something in the comments so people can tap into your shows, you know, and tell them a little bit about your show, Lex, so they can make sure
Yeah,
they make it.
definitely. Yeah. So it's every Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Spoken Herb with Lex the Gentleman. We have some of the best spoken word artists on the app and in life. Period. We have two feature poets every show. I have an open mic at the end of the show. So yeah, if you poetry lover, if you write poetry yourself, definitely tap in. It's a whole experience. We believe in dropping that inspire fire. So if you see that inspire fire, those flames in the chat, that's what we all about. So you come as you are, leave inspired. That's what it's
Right.
about.
I
So
seen that when I came to the show last. I was like, all right, there's a lot of flames going on in here. It's
Yeah,
pretty hot. It's pretty
yeah.
hot in here right now. So you can definitely see the the excitement and the atmosphere that's been created, in your life. Did you think it was gonna be that infectious with people at
I,
first?
I didn't. And you saw some inspired fire already. In the chat. Appreciate that, Lola. Appreciate that, been a lot. But yeah, I really, I had no clue that it was going to pick up. Like I knew I wanted something
What's up? What's up?
to keep people engaged. I wanted to be like engaging or whatnot, and I didn't think the Inspire Fire was going to take off the way it did. I thought about actually changing my name to Mr. Inspire Fire because it's taken off the way it had. but yeah, but it's
Yeah,
I
I
give I
definitely
give
like
all
doing it.
yeah, I give all glory to God. I give all glory to God because it's a lot of people are really being. I mean, I'm constantly hearing people like they're saying how encouraged they were, how they needed that, they heard something that inspired them, they kept them going through the week, through the month, and that's what it's all about. That's why that's why it was created. So
Man, I know when I went to the first show that I went to that you did, you were doing a poem, and I can't remember the poem because I was telling you I was like, I'm gonna steal that, man. I'm gonna let me screen
yeah,
record this so I can.
yeah,
I'm gonna tell that to somebody, man. I need that poetry, so I'm gonna look back for sure on some of your shows. I know around the first time I went in there, maybe we can make it work. I
yeah,
could get one of those like those poem books by Lex, so I could learn some of your poetry and go spit some of your words to the masses. And be like, you write
I'm
that? I
yeah,
didn't write it, but one of my close friends did. This is the autograph copy.
but
So
yeah, we waiting on me. Anytime you're ready, though, bro. You know,
hey, look,
write
y'all,
you something.
look,
Yeah, come on.
don't worry. I have it in me. I deal with
Yeah,
music, so I have it in me. The
see.
relationship between rap and poetry. What do you think about it?
I mean, so I always say this: like every uh every poet is a rapper. Not every rapper is a poet. Okay, so
Mm,
but rap is poetry. If you take away the beats to anything, it's a poem. The beat and the music, if you take away the melody to any song, it's a poem. So at the root of it all is poetry. What I'm saying? But it's all about, it all comes down to the your delivery of it. That's the only thing that turns something and makes something spoken word poetry. Is that delivery. But yeah, it's all poetry. The oldest art form there is, poetry.
Yeah, when you read it about poetry and they talk about the history of it, they're like, yeah, it started in the caveman days, with illustrations on the wall
Hmm.
and different moans and grunts, because they say they didn't know how to speak English or any language, but I mean that's crazy. Language was one of the first things that started. So to try to
Yeah.
downplay us and make it seem like the first man on earth was grunting and moaning at each other. It's kind of
Yeah.
wild, you know. But um, all right, it's 2079, right? It's
Mhm.
2079, and Lex the gentleman's robotic body takes the stage. What is it gonna sound like? Lex the gentleman, everybody. He's a robot in 2079. And he's about to deliver us a poem. What is it gonna sound like? Besides
Greet
the auto tune voice.
Greetings to the masses. I'm so glad that you're here. See, the lyrics that you're about to listen to will hit you in a direction because this is the best of the best. See, you can do anything that you want to do in life. You can make it through the strife or the pain. Know that you can maintain the same because, see, this is I, Lex, the gentleman. I just like to do this to let you know you can do all things. The Christ who strengthens you because you are put here for a reason. So for this season, you must believe in yourself. Don't just look at others, it will damage your health. Because see, you sometimes must be invisible, that's stealth, but you can fly to the top of the sky because it is you. You just have to try. This is Lex logging
Look at
out.
that. Lex logging out.
There
Now,
you go.
look, I know everybody was a little shocked because we didn't expect him to do that. But that just goes to show you if you guys don't have Lex with a fade, you guys need to clearly hit him with a fade. He could pretty much do anything, right? Anything poetry. It's the
What's,
poetry guy
what's
right
got?
now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, whatever you need, whatever you
Uh,
need, whatever you need.
whatever you need. Look, hey, when you know you guys see a lot on social media these days where people are going to weddings and different things like that, speaking spitting poetry. You getting booked for weddings, Lex?
I've
You out here
I've
getting booked?
actually I've actually been booked for a few weddings. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I do my thing. I'm not gonna throw so even some big name celebrities. I won't throw any names out there, but I've done some celebrity weddings, done some spoken word pieces. But yeah, yeah. So y'all got weddings, y'all got something coming up. Let me know. I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what's up. That's
I
what's
did,
up.
I did,
Listen,
I did, I did
everybody.
what I did one wedding where I was the voice of the groom, and he was like he was writing a piece, and he was like
Yeah,
sitting up into this section where he was like writing a piece to his spouse, and I was the words that he was writing. So as I was
that's
speaking it,
dope.
he was like this, and yeah, it was dope. It was dope.
Yeah, yeah. I could picture that being like a note, like a note to self, or the you guys remember Moesha when Moesha was writing in the journal, you could hear the words and stuff. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm picturing right now.
yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's really tight. That's really tight. Um, do you remember the first poem you wrote?
The first poem I wrote was called "To Love from Within," and that was in high school, my freshman year of high school. Like I started writing before that in fifth grade, but the first actual poem I put together was called "To Love from Within." Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
I do
cool.
remember, but yeah.
That was high school. You was a So you well, I remember when you were saying in the beginning how you started and everything. Did you already have a lot of work in high school, like a lot of
I,
pieces written?
I didn't. It wasn't really until I got to college, because that's the first time I actually performed a piece was in college, and that poem was called "The Answer." Um, and then I performed a little bit through college, but it wasn't until I got to New York. When I moved to New York, that's where my delivery. That's where I learned to like deliver. So when I deliver my pieces, it's more of that New York style delivery of my pieces. Because I was all over there. Like I mean, I started hip hop church with like Curtis Blow in the Bronx, and was saying, just man, just all over New York. So that's where my delivery came from
And if you
there.
talking about
Yeah,
Curtis Blows, one of them guys, man. So
yeah,
I know you had to take a little delivery, a little delivery from Curtis Blow
yeah, yeah. It's cool, brother.
for sure. Um, what are a couple positive phrases that you teach your stream?
Um, well, in my in my stream, like I'm just all about positivity, um, and building up. I would say, one thing I would say on my show is be the inspiration that someone needs to see. So be the same inspiration you want, be that for someone else. And that's why it's all about come as you are, leave inspired. um One thing I always say is, like when we go through life, we go through a lot of pain, but there's a purpose in the pain. And the purpose of pain is to propel you to your purpose. So we go through things, and those things we go through, that's what pushes us to our destiny and what we are created to do. So and see, if God brought you to it, he'll take you through it.
Right, right.
So whatever it is, life, God brought you to it, take you through it. So,
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody coming in. Do you post motivational quotes that you come up with?
I do. Um, I'm trying to get better at my posting. Like a lot of times I'll post, I'll post like things, other quotes I've heard. Um, I don't post a lot, but that's one of the things that I'm looking at doing is posting more um, motivational quotes, because even like in my pieces, I infuse a lot of motivational quotes in pieces I do. So so whenever I post my poetry, like you're gonna get some motivational quotes. But yeah,
Oh, definitely, definitely. I know, like I kind of copy and paste some things. If it hits me the right way, I might repost it. If I feel like it
hmm
speaks to me specifically, then that's what I'll do. I'm kind of one of those people too. I'm not anti social media, but like I don't really like posting all the time. So I've had people getting on me like, "Hey, post more," and I used to use another platform where everybody kind of talked. You guys probably familiar with how what app I'm talking about, but I was a part of a group called the Lemonade Squad, right? We sit on the porch and drink our lemonade, right, and talk about things all day, right?
hmm
And one thing was you got to make a post, an inspirational post every day for the next
hmm
10, 20 days to see if you can inspire somebody, right?
hmm
And the person who got the most feedback from the post that they posted won a prize. It was just amongst everybody. So people are thinking about the deepest poems they could, the deepest quotes, and the deepest things they could find. But a lot of times, the ones that were on the surface were the most inspiring. A simple
yeah,
thing like be yourself.
yeah,
People will find more hit in that than versus you with a three paragraph, 4 paragraph poem.
hmm
People want it short and sweet.
yeah, yeah.
Welcome everybody to the room again. Make sure you guys hit Lex the gentleman with a fave. His show is on Mondays 9 p.m. Eastern time. Be there, be square. Bring your poetry book.
Yes,
Get ready to
yes.
get inspired by some poems. Turn your screen record on because he's going to say some things that you're going to want to listen to later on, for sure. Because I know I wish I did. Um, my Angelo had a poem that everybody's familiar with, right? The caged bird, right?
hmm
Just by the name of that poem, what is it? What do you think about it before you read it? Like just hearing the name.
And that's the I know why the cage bird sings.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to my mind, what I visualize is like the cage bird. I think about prison, like like the jail cells. I think about somebody that's locked up, but not necessarily, not even physical, but mental. Mental prison. Somebody that's it's in a mental prison is going through, and just that, I know why I know why they sing, like understanding, because like when you've been there, when you've been a caged bird, you've been locked up mentally or physically, it's a different understanding that you have, what I'm saying, in different place you're able to relate. So that's what I visualize. Like I understand. I know why they sing. I know what they sing because they're happy. They sing because they're suffering. They're singing. They're crying out. You know, they're yeah. So
Yeah, there's so many different metaphors you can paint when you hear that. And she wrote it about her life growing up. So if you
mhm.
guys definitely have time to go check out the poem if you don't already know it, just go listen to it and check it out. I would read it, but I'm not a poet, so we're not gonna go there. Uh, I don't have the delivery that Lex got. You seen him; he was Robot Lex
Yeah,
2079.
yeah.
We
I'm
don't
not.
have
Look,
that.
I'll bring it up right quick. Look, I'm gonna.
Feel free,
Yeah.
sir.
Look.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
right
it's
here on
on.
my computer. Um,
While Alexis bringing up the poem, make sure you guys have the host and Lex fave. He's fave the top gifters of the stream, fupas, chocolate, and I believe that is tall glass of water up there. You know, make sure you guys fave them. And everybody in the chat that knows each other or doesn't know each other, just click on the name. You know, we look at our views, we know who's clicking on our pages. So just click on the name, hit them with a fave. Like, hey, look, I faved you from Mirror's Live, you know,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
I
All right.
faved you from Mirror's Live.
Yes, and
All
I
right, go
do I
ahead,
do
sir.
I do fade I do fade back too. Appreciate the fade.
He fades back, right?
Cage Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream to the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The cage bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn. And he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The caged bird sings of freedom. That's that piece.
Definitely, definitely. I love it. I love it. It says so much, you know. That's like
Yeah,
one of those things you could hear over and over again, and you just picture life. It just puts everything in front of you, you know. And
yeah,
you look at like what were you going through at this time when you wrote this poem. You can hear the pain, you can hear the joy, you can hear all these different things in in that poem, and it's really
yeah.
what you interpret for yourself. You know, nobody can tell you how do you see a piece, you know. It's
Right,
one thing I
right.
like about poetry. Everybody,
That's
when
yeah.
you ask them about poetry, we're all going to have something different to say about certain things.
Hmm.
It's going to speak to Lex a different way than it spoke to me, you know.
Yeah, and that's why like I was in a poetry slam when I was living in New York. I was in a poetry slam at the New Rican Poets Cafe, and that was the first time where I saw where they would hold up the ratings. Like when somebody spit a piece, they would hold up ratings. But what's interesting about that is in my mind, I was like, you can't rate poetry. You can't really, because poetry is all about if it resonates. If somebody says something that resonates with you, you can be like, oh, that was a 10. But if they say something that you're not feeling and not resonating, like, I wasn't really feeling it, you know? So it's all
Right.
about expression, you know, it's all about expression. And, you know, some people are going to, and everybody, like you said, it's like looking at a picture on the wall. Everybody's going to see something different in that painting or that
Hmm.
picture. That's how poetry
For
is.
sure.
You know, you're going to
Yeah.
take away those things that mean a lot to you and resonate with you, you know? So,
It's like when you watch a movie, you know, you watch a movie, you've seen this movie dozens of times. People like Friday, right? How many
mhm.
times have you seen the movie Friday, right? But every time you watch it, you've seen this movie
See,
for the last 10, 15 years, but there's always
right.
something different you notice in
Always,
the
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
Always something different. Poetry is the same. As every time you hear a piece, you're going to pick up something different every time from it, you know?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna focus on certain things, just like lyrics to a song. You always hear the same thing. You might be in there bopping, listening to the song, but then when you look up the lyrics, you're like, whoa, I don't remember them saying that.
yeah, yeah.
Hold on, or you'll catch something different one day, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I definitely
and
encourage
yeah,
people to go out there and listen to something deep today. Listen,
yeah,
pick out where there's a song or a poem or whatever it is. Listen to something and really try to key in on the lyrics, the words that they're
Mhm.
saying.
Yeah, and things hit different depending on where you are in life at that time. Because
Hmm.
there's certain things like you'll listen to when everything's up, you're feeling good, and it may sound so so different. But when you're in the when you're in the struggle, when you're in the valley, and you listen to something, it hits completely different. It has a
Right.
whole nother level of inspiration. And that's why like even like I go to the Word of God a lot. I could read the same scripture at one point, but when I'm going through and I read that scripture, it's like, oh, okay, or hear a poem, so depending on what stage of life you're in, it's different.
I know that for sure. 'Cause I
Yeah,
know I listen to songs all the time, and until you struggle or until you've been to that point of struggling, you're not going to understand like what certain people going through. Like if you've never been, broke, or you've never been homeless, or you've never
yeah,
got fired from a job or something, or you never been up, like, up, like you've had a lot of money, like some people, they just experience different things in life. We all are gonna go through some of the same things, but they don't hit the same. Lex was like, "Hey, look,
yeah,
man, somebody told me." He said earlier, it was your mom, right? It was like,
yeah,
you need to open up your mouth and be heard.
right,
People want to hear what you have to say. Now, you heard that when you were a kid. I'm
mm-hmm,
just now recently hearing that. So we
mm,
received the same message,
mm,
but years and years apart from each other, you
yeah,
know. But I understand what your mother was telling you. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? Just like you would understand what my peers are telling me, because we both hit the same journey at different points. It's not
mm-hmm.
about when you get there, it's about how you
It's
get
about,
there,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
It's about getting there and getting
Yeah,
there
as long as
together.
you get there.
Yeah, as long as you
Hmm.
get there. Yeah, yeah.
As
I
long
remember.
as
I
you
think
get there.
MLK said that. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you made that get there. As long as you get there. And how we see that we all our lives are intertwined. Together. In some way. So
For sure.
yeah,
For sure. I love it, man. I love it. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, brother. We need to
appreciate it.
do more stuff, man. I've told Anointed Vessel, like, man, maybe we need to like a men's group or something. They like hearing us
Yeah,
talk clearly, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. I'm
And
down.
people on the app, they like hearing us. So we got to come up with something. We're gonna get a little circle going for
Yeah,
sure.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Everybody, welcome, 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 welcome to How Times Changed. I appreciate all the support from everybody over the last couple months, getting the show up and going and everything, coming on the show, being guests. We always looking for guests, to hop on. Make sure you hit Lex with a fade. Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Mondays,
Yes,
9 p.m.
yes.
Eastern time. He has a banner,
Hmm.
so you can't miss it. You
Yeah,
can't miss
yeah.
it. Make sure you
And
go and
come.
add him on Instagram.
Yeah,
You'll see
Lex
the
the
everything.
gentleman, Lex the gentleman underscore tag on IG, and yeah, when you come through the show, just come in, dropping Inspire Fire. Just come, you gonna see
Right.
all that Inspire Fire in the chat, and yeah, it's a whole vibe. So
If
definitely
you spam a different
check it out.
emoji, you're gonna look different. You're gonna stick out. Trust me, you're gonna want to spam the fire. You don't want to be the only one not spamming the fire. They're like, who is that in the chat?
Right, right,
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. So everybody, this has been How Times Change. We'll be back again next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll have another set of great guests and everything. So until then, remember, time is always changing, and time waits for no man or woman. You know what I'm saying? All right, Lex, we are up out
Yeah.
of here, man. I appreciate you
Appreciate
coming,
you.
bro.
Thank you so much, man, for having me on. It's
Yeah,
a
I feel like
pleasure,
you
and
should
shout out to
do
everybody.
spoken heard more than one time a week. Maybe we need to get like a
I,
mini spoken
yeah,
heard. Monday's
I,
kind of like, dang,
yeah,
Monday we start
yeah, yeah.
Monday.
I've heard you're not the first that has suggested that, so we may have to do a midweek version. Yeah, and not everybody
Hmm.
can make it Monday at 9 too. So to give those that couldn't, another opportunity. So you know, coming
For
soon, coming
sure.
soon.
So don't worry, the feature show soon. We're gonna have episodes where we're gonna be on more than one day.
Right, man,
It was like, all right, our time slots are Monday, Wednesday, and this day.
man.
I appreciate
All right, bro.
everybody
Appreciate you,
coming.
bro. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah.
All right, we up out of here, you guys. Thanks for coming again. Um, look for us again next week. All right.